Welcome, Internet family. Do you know what the number one reason for divorce is? Most people think that it's adultery, but that is not even close. The answer is not going to surprise you or shock you, but it will cause you to rethink marriage. Stay with us. We'll be right back and we'll explain.
Free clothes, free education, free electronics, free food, free everything. Can you afford free? Get free products for yourself. Give away free products to others. Get paid. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Visit our websites. Your pocket will thank you.
Welcome back. Let me first say that I am speaking to the men here because men, we are responsible for everything that happens in the home. That's our role. And I want you to think, what do you think is the number one reason for divorce? Do you think it's lack of affection? A man won't love his wife up. He won't kiss her. He won't be affectionate with her. What about lack of conversation? Do you think that a man not talking to his wife, as a matter of fact, wives, let me say something, is that if your husband's not talking to you, he's talking. He's just not talking to you. But we'll get to that in another video. But you think it's lack of conversation? It's not lack of conversation. What about dishonesty? You think that dishonesty is the number one reason for divorce? You don't know where your husband is, or you don't know where your wife is, you don't know who they're hanging out with, you don't know who they're dealing with, or they're not giving you the full scoop, and there's no transparency there. Do you think that's what it is? What about no money? Don't have any money. We're broke. You know, can't have enough money to pay the bills. We're struggling all the time, and you know we've got to ask people for this, ask people for that. But you think that's the number one reason for divorce? What about lack of family commitment? Won't spend time with the family. Won't spend time just nurturing and taking care of the responsibilities in the home in terms of family life. Won't spend time together. Do you think that that's the number one reason for divorce? No, not at all. These are the root symptoms, but it's not the cause. The number one reason for divorce is selfishness. I put my needs before my wife's needs. So whatever it is I want, despite the consequences or what may happen for me getting what I want, it doesn't make a difference. Selfishness is the number one reason for divorce. And you find this across the board. No matter what happens, you see that this is the case. And the symptoms, lack of affection, dishonesty, those things are just the cause of a root symptom. So let's look at this and examine this a minute. How is someone selfish in their marriage in different areas? Let's look at sexually selfish. Doesn't give his wife a time, or the wife doesn't give the husband the time. Selfish. Either that, they're not giving them the time, or they're saving themselves for somebody else because they have a situation outside the house. Selfishness. Don't want to take time to be with your spouse sexually. What about financially? I want to keep my money in my pocket. I don't have to give you any money. Whatever money you have is yours. I have my own bank account. I take care of my own business, and whatever money is needed for the house doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm putting my money and keeping my money in my pocket because I work for it. What about emotionally? Emotionally, you just don't give your spouse the time that is necessary in order for you to grow emotionally, because I'm keeping my emotions to myself. There's no transparency. I don't know. My husband never sheds a tear. Not that you have to cry, man, but it's just that you're so locked up and cold and no emotion. What about physically? Don't keep yourself in shape, or you're just so badly out of shape, or you're wise. You don't even take care of yourself physically because there are other things that are happening that determine that I don't even want to be attractive for my husband, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna take care of myself. Or husbands, your stomach's hanging out all over, you're out of shape. Listen, all of these things manifest itself in being selfish to the point that it causes you to go for a divorce. Selfishness has no place in the marriage whatsoever. There's no room for it. Marriage is not 50-50. Marriage is 100%, 100%. You give 100% of yourself based on whatever is happening at any given point in time. There's just no room for it. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think is responsible in a marriage to be submissive? Is it the man or is it the woman? Actually, it is the responsibility of the female to teach the husband how to be submissive by her submissive character. But with that being said, the husband is always to be submissive as well. Men, do you think that that you're not a man if you're not submissive to your wife? Remember that analogy is the way Christ deals with the church. Let's say, for instance, you and Christ are bucking heads. What does Christ do? Go do what you want to do. When you as a husband can be unselfish, when you as a wife can be unselfish, it works symbiotically. So now you have a union and you have something that is building because both of you can back up when it is necessary. And it's more important, men, for you to love your wife than to be right or to win an argument or whatever. So you need to keep this in mind, and the wife will most definitely follow. Keep this in mind, man, and everyone should keep this in mind, actually. Marriage is a ministry. The person that you are with, the person that the Lord put you with, you have one job and one job only. Once you decided to get married, the Lord gave you a job. You know what that job was? That job was to make sure, men, that your wife gets into heaven. Women, your job is to make sure that your husband gets into heaven. Did you think that it was to raise a family, have a big job, have a nice house, have a big car? Do you think that's what it was, the reason for getting married? No, that's not your reason for getting married. It was never your reason to get married. When you are the initiator of a divorce, do you know what you're telling your wife? Are you telling your spouse? Go to hell. It's pretty strong, isn't it? But understand that that is what you're telling your spouse when you say, we're done, we're finished, because you were given a responsibility to make sure that your spouse gets into heaven. Now, the question is, are you going to be selfish enough so that you're going to shirk your responsibility and think, hey, everything's going to be all right? Now, if you've already been divorced, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. You've already, made that decision. But if you're married and you're thinking about getting married again, we'll talk about that later. Then you need to keep in mind that your responsibility is to make sure that you exhibit no selfishness in your marriage whatsoever at any time. That you can submit when you need to submit, and men, I'm talking to you, you can back up when you need to back up. Your wife being submissive will teach you how to be submissive. And you'll find that your marriage and your relationship will grow and continue to grow, so that when you're submissive, Christ comes into that union and he embraces you and your spouse, because you've learned to do what Christ has taught you to do and what you've learned within the marriage. Hope that helps you to see the number one reason for divorce, and you keep that in mind as you continue on your journey. So thanks for joining us for this episode. We'll see you again. The next episode is going to be the business of marriage. You don't want to miss that one. Remember this, love chose you, and God bless.